Tamam pacha. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this soft skill session. We'll start this session in 2 minutes. Yes, let's start today's session. In the last 2 sessions, we learned about nonverbal reasoning and time management, part 1. Let's revise a little bit. In yesterday's session, we learned about prioritizing. We learned about prioritizing, we learned about scheduling, and also we learned about how to set a goal to save time. And I'm sure that almost everyone would have got an idea to create your own goal, and think about it. What kind of goal should you have? Okay, if at all you have an option of chat using the chat section. You can just type in the chat section what kind of goal should we decide, or what should be the type of goal. There is a certain word that I mentioned in yesterday's session. How should our goal be? Yes, very good. So most of them have replied SMART goal. Exactly. So our goal should be a SMART goal where S stands for specific, M measurable, A attainable or achievable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. Okay. So this is how your goal should be so that you would be motivated to reach your goal. आपके गोल स्मार्ट गोल होना चाहिए ताकि आप गोल को बहुत कम समय में प्राप्त कर सकें. Okay, so let's start today's session, which is a continuation of time management. And in today's session, we will be learning about some of the important aspects that you need to know in time management. Why to learn time management? Now, after a few years, after 2 years, after 1 year, when you join an organization, you will be provided or you will be getting so many tasks to complete. You will be having multiple tasks. So managing the time is an important part because you have to meet your deadlines and you have to do everything perfectly. So that is why it's very important to know the aspects of time management and how to manage the time well. Okay, so let's get started. So in this session, we will be learning about multitasking. Is multitasking good or not? Let's see about that. We'll also be learning about the effects of procrastination. What is this procrastination? We'll be learning about it. And also we'll be seeing what will happen when we work under pressure. So these are the different aspects that we will be seeing today, different concepts that we'll be seeing, starting from multitasking or multitasking, procrastination, and working under pressure. So I hope everyone are ready, and I request everyone to keep a pen and a book or a paper in front of you so that whenever I say some important points, you can write it down. And also it will be helpful for you in your assignments, which will be there post session. So please, I repeat, आप एक पेन और पेपर को आपके सामने रेडी रखिए ताकि आप कुछ इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स लिख सकें और आपको ये असाइनमेंट कंप्लीट करने के लिए भी बहुत आसान होगा. ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट थिंग, दैट इज मल्टीटास्किंग. Yes, friends. So, in multitasking, when you hear this term, what do you feel like? Oh, it's so many tasks to do at a time. Okay, so let's recall the different multitasking thing that you guys are doing. So let's start. I want you all to write down at least 2 points in the paper in front of you. The first point being, what are the different multitasks that I do at the same time? Or what are the different multitasking activities that I was doing before? Maybe like attending the call and also speaking with my parents. So I want you to write down what multitasking that you were doing till now, or what multitasking that you are good at. Like how many tasks can you do? Write down those tasks. Maybe listening to music while teaching someone, or maybe watching movie as well as reading the subtitles. Even that is also multitasking. So I want you to write down in your paper what are the different multitasking activities that you are capable of. मैं एक टाइम में कितना टास्क कर सकती हूँ और वो कौन सा है. आप एक सेंटेंस में लिख दीजिए आपके पेपर. Okay, I'm sure that everyone would have written the multitasks that you do, the different tasks that you do at the same time. Okay, so let's move on to the things that we will be learning today. First, we need to know, what is this multitasking? As the name suggests, multitasking is nothing but doing different tasks at the same time. And I'm sure that most of them would be doing that even now. I'm sure that most of them would be watching the video as well as doing some other task at the same time. Maybe seeing your phone, checking the WhatsApp, and also listening to the class. So everyone are entitled to this multitasking in our day-to-day life. So it's a very common thing. So multitasking is nothing but doing many tasks at the same time. Now, I want you to just think about, when was the last time you did multiple tasks at a time and you felt so tired? I want you to think about the multitask that you did previously and you felt so tired after that. Think about that task. Okay. Now, whenever you do multitasking, I'm sure at one particular time you would have felt like, oh my god, what is it? Everything is coming to my mind. You would have felt like, oh, there are so many tasks I have to do. I don't know which one to complete. And it is very common. And I'm sure like everyone in your college days, you would have got many things at the same time. Like for example, your teacher or your lecturer would have told you to complete an assignment. And at the same time, at your home, your parents would have asked you to do some work. Maybe something cooking food, or maybe helping in cleaning the home. So you would have had so many tasks. And at that time, what is that feeling that you had in your mind? You were like, oh my god, I have to complete my assignment. I need to submit it tomorrow. And I need to do the homework also. I need to help my parents. So there are so many tasks that will be striking your mind, and you will feel like, no, I just want something which is very it's something like one task at a time, or maybe I want to relax. That is a very common feeling that we all have. Exactly. So now in this multitasking, how to successfully multitask? Oh, this is a quite interesting question. How to successfully multitask? Actually, there is nothing like a human being should be expert in multitasking. When you go to an interview, when you attend an interview, if you are planning to say that you are really good in multitasking, for example, if the interviewer is asking, tell me about yourself, what are you good at? And suppose if you are planning to say that I am a multitasker, if you want to say like, I can do many tasks at a time. If you're thinking that the interviewer would be happy to hire you because of this sentence, then you are wrong. The reason is, whenever you are doing many tasks at a time, your productivity reduces. And for sure, the employer will not want to hire a person whose productivity is less, isn't it? So that is why you should be very, very careful when you say this statement that you are a multitasker. As a human being, we are prone to make mistakes when we do multitask or when you do many tasks at a time. And we all know computer is a machine that can do many tasks at a time because it is designed to do that. But as a human being, we are not designed to do many tasks at a time. Rather, we can do one thing, that is concentrate at one task, complete it, and then switch to next one. So here you have to be very careful when you are saying this statement in an interview. Make sure that you are not saying this statement that you are good at multitasking. That is not the right way to say. Okay, then how to successfully multitask? Does it work out? It's not about successfully multitasking, rather it is doing one task, completing it, and then switching on to the next task. That is what people call multitask, wherein let's think about, you are working in an organization and you are given with two different works, and for both the work you need to complete it within 1 hour. अब दोनों काम को एक घंटे के अंदर सबमिट करना है. अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मैं दोनों काम साथ में करूँगा, तो आपका जो 1 घंटे का जो समय है वो बहुत कम पड़ेगा. आपको क्या करना है, आपको एक टास्क को लेना है जो ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, प्रायोरिटाइज़ करना है, और उसे कम से कम समय में कंप्लीट करना चाहिए. उसके बाद जब वो कंप्लीट हो जाए, उसके बाद दूसरे टास्क को स्विच करना है, ताकि आप दोनों काम कंप्लीटली कर सकें और अच्छे रिजल्ट आए उससे. तो इसलिए आपको ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, मल्टीटास्किंग जो है इससे बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि आप ज़्यादा कंसंट्रेट नहीं कर पाओगे एक काम पे ऊपर. सो इसलिए रिमेंबर, मल्टीटास्किंग will result in some error. That is why it is important to concentrate one task at a time. Let's see some of the examples of multitasking skills. Very common would be answering the phone while greeting visitors in a busy reception area. You would have observed generally in some hospitals or in some hotels, the receptionists, they'll be attending so many calls, and suddenly some visitors also will come in. So they need to manage both the tasks. And if you observe, they won't be speaking to you when they're talking on call. Rather, they will ask you to wait for some time. वो बोलेंगे थोड़ी देर के लिए रुकिए मैम, मैं कॉल के बाद मैं आपको रिप्लाई करूँगा. या they will ask the person who is in the call, they will ask that person to wait for some time, then they address a visitor. Otherwise, they might shuffle whatever the sentence they have to say to the visitor, they might say to the person who is on the call. So that is a very common multitasking error that receptionists usually face. There's one more, carrying out work on 3 different graphic design projects at varying stage of completion. Suppose it's not only about graphic design projects, any projects that you get, if there is a completion time of 2 hours, and if you have 3 different projects, switching on between them at the same time is very difficult. Rather, completing each one of them would help any person to complete the project. One more very multitasking by some professional would be designing a new website at the same time updating some other websites. So that also is a kind of a multitasking. And I'm sure like everyone would be using social media, right? Very few of them will not be having an account in Facebook, I think, or Instagram. Most of us have accounts in social media like Facebook, Instagram, and now even you guys would be doing multitasking in that case. That is, you will be managing several accounts, several accounts since Facebook 1 account and Instagram 1 account. So you would be continuously switching. This would be when you post a photo in an Instagram and as well as Facebook. You would be continuously switching to see how many likes did you get it in Facebook, how many likes in Instagram. So that is also a kind of a multitasking. One more example would be preparing a presentation, or maybe if I take precisely a sales presentation, wherein you will be also taking the complaints from the customer. So that is also a kind of a multitasking. If I want to say more precisely, when you're presenting something, as and when you are presenting, there might be people around you who have some doubt, and they will be asking some questions with you. So that is also a multitasking, where the question might divert your presentation, or you might not hear what they are saying. So that also will result in some error in classroom also, when a lecturer or when a professor is saying something and suddenly some of them will distract, so you start concentrating on that distraction. So that is a kind of a multitasking. So there are different, many professions adopt multitasking, but there are more chances that whenever they are doing that, they will be prone to error. So that is why they need to concentrate on one and work on that. Okay, so now think about, I want you all to write down the top 3 tasks that you will be doing after today's session. I think I have told this yesterday also, but I want you to do that today also. Write down the top 3 tasks that you will be doing today after this session. So I'll give you 30 seconds for that. I repeat, write down the top 3 tasks that you will be doing after this session. Okay, so now those tasks what you have written, is it that if suppose, just think about it, if all those tasks that you have written, जो आप अभी जो 3 टास्क आप जो पेपर में लिखे हैं, अगर वो 3 टास्क आप एक साथ करेंगे तो कैसा होगा? जस्ट थिंक कीजिए इसके बारे में. बहुत मुश्किल होगा और आप एक टास्क के ऊपर कॉन्सेंट्रेट नहीं कर नहीं पाओगे. आप you will be I think if at all you do all the 3 tasks at the same time, I'm sure any one of the tasks would be disturbed, or you may not be able to concentrate, or all the 3 tasks would be spoiled. तीनों टास्क खराब हो सकता है. इसलिए आपको एक टास्क एक टाइम पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना चाहिए. सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. एंड वाई वी आर लर्निंग नाउ, हम क्यों अभी ये सीख रहे हैं, ताकि आप जब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ज्वाइन करते हो, वर्क करते हो, तब आपको ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि आपको बहुत सारा टास्क ज़रूर से आ जाएगा. वो तो पक्का है, आपको टास्क बहुत आ जाएगा, लेकिन आपको प्रायोरिटाइज करके एक काम एक समय पे करना है, ताकि आपका जो फाइनल रिजल्ट हो वो ठीक हो और आप ज़्यादा प्रोडक्टिव बनेंगे. सो दैट इज़ वाई इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड द थ्योरी ऑफ मल्टीटास्किंग. और ये भी ध्यान रखिए कि इंटरव्यू के वक्त आपको क्या कहना है. आपको ये नहीं कहना है कि आप मल्टीटास्किंग कर सकते हो, क्योंकि जो इंटरव्यूअर है उसको पता है कि ये मल्टीटास्किंग जो है उससे प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. तो आप ये वर्ड मत यूज़ कीजिए. जब आपके स्ट्रेंथ के बारे में पूछते हैं तो ये मत कहिए कि आई एम अ मल्टीटास्कर. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल. ओके, सो नाउ लेट्स watch a small video on multitasking, and let's see what can we learn from this. Let's get started.
Lots of questions are asked about multitasking. For example, does multitasking kill my productivity? Is multitasking good for me? Am I a good multitasker, or should I just quit doing it? And of course, the one that's probably asked most often, does it actually work? I see multitasking articles posted every single day claiming to be able to teach you how to be a better multitasker. They often talk about multitasking benefits that are supposed to increase your productivity while ignoring every multitasking study that claims otherwise. And that's why I'm here. Today, I'm going to answer some of the most commonly asked questions about multitasking as well as give you some tips on how to stop doing it. So first, here are the answers to the most commonly asked questions about multitasking. Question 1. Does multitasking actually work? Not exactly. Studies have shown that you can't truly multitask, but your brain is capable of switching from one task to another at an extremely fast rate. A good example would be when you're walking and talking with somebody. Your brain is actually switching between those two tasks, but it does it so quickly that we don't actually notice it. However, this doesn't work for more complex tasks, like trying to figure out a complex math problem while simultaneously organizing a group of unrelated people for an unrelated project. Question 2. Does multitasking kill my productivity? Absolutely and unequivocally yes. And there are tons of studies from Stanford University, MIT, and many other places besides to back this up. The amount it kills your productivity does vary from study to study, but it does slow you down to some degree regardless. However, it may actually be a little bit worse than most of us think, which leads us to the next question. Is multitasking good for me? No. No, it is not. In fact, a study from the University of London actually found that multitasking can lower your IQ by as many as 15 points. And since the average IQ scores tend to range between 90 and 110 points, that 15-point hit is a pretty big deal in my book. And finally, should I quit multitasking? Ideally, yes, because in addition to the lower IQ I just mentioned, researchers from the United Kingdom have found that multitasking increases your body's production of the stress hormone cortisol and can lead to increased heart rates and blood pressure, which could cause you some serious health problems down the road. However, while all this information is great to know, it doesn't actually help us fix the problem. How can we stop or at least limit our time spent multitasking in a world that seems to demand it from us every day? I've tried many things, but there were 3 tricks that really stood out above the rest. The first is the most obvious. Eliminate the potential for distraction as much as you possibly can. Turn off your cell phone, close your office door if you have one, and for the love of God, clean up your office space. When I first tried this in college, I was actually amazed at how big a difference cleaning up my desk made. I had a desk at work that I shared with a few coworkers, and there was always some new piece of sports memorabilia or stat sheet lying around. I'd still do work there, but my productivity paled in comparison to what I got done when I went to the library, which had a much cleaner workspace. The second trick is one that I've covered before, and it's called time blocking. Time blocking is when you set certain times to complete certain tasks during the day. But for this to work best, you need to make sure you have your time blocks set before the day begins. However, this technique, in my experience, is simple to understand, but not always simple to implement. When I first tried it, I struggled to stick to my blocks. And the thing that helped me most was to adopt the mindset that until I finished whatever task I was supposed to be doing at the time, everything else should be seen as a distraction and avoided like the plague. When I had this mindset, I found myself not only sticking to my blocks more consistently, but actually finishing the tasks well before the block was over. The third trick is to practice mindfulness. Meditation is a great way to start doing this, and science is finding numerous benefits to meditating regularly, even if it is just for 10 to 20 minutes a day. Some of the benefits are increased gray matter in your brain, which can improve your memory as well as your self-control. It can also decrease stress and even improve your ability to focus. I'll leave a link in the description below that lists more of the benefits of meditation because honestly, there's just far too many of them to list in this video. So what questions do you have about multitasking? Have you ever tried any of the tips that I mentioned, or are there some others that you've tried that have worked for you? Let me know about them in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. I upload every single Friday. So until next time, guys.
Okay, so that was a good video where we realize the effects of multitasking, how it reduces our productivity. Okay, so let's decide from today onwards that whenever I'm doing many tasks, I need to prioritize the task that I need to do first and concentrate on that, complete it, and then go to the next task. So जब कभी भी मैं multiple tasks करता हूँ, तो मैं पहला जो हाई प्रायोरिटी टास्क है वो पहला ख़त्म करूँगा, उसके बाद में मैं दूसरे टास्क को कंप्लीट करने के लिए स्टार्ट करूँगा। तो ये आपको प्रैक्टिस करना है आज से, ताकि आप जब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ज्वाइन करते हो या जब आप इंटरव्यू देने जाते हो तो ये बहुत काम आ जाएगा आपको। आप ये भी कह सकते हैं इंटरव्यू में दैट आई कैन डू a task completely and I can switch between the tasks. ये टर्म बहुत सही है, आप ये कह सकते हैं. You can say this statement rather than saying I'm a multitasker. You can say that I have the ability to switch between the task and I can give 100% in whichever the task I am completing. ये सही रहेगा, लेकिन मल्टीटास्किंग ये वर्ड आपको यूज़ नहीं करना है. आप कह सकते हैं कि आई हैव एन एबिलिटी, आई थिंक आई कैन स्विच बिटवीन द टास्क ईजिली. ओके, सो दिस इज़ अ वेरी गुड स्टेटमेंट. आई स्विच बिटवीन द टास्क ईजिली. मतलब आपको जब 2-3 टास्क दिया जाएगा, आप एक काम करते हो तो आप स्विच करके दूसरे काम कर सकते हो. तो दिस इज़ अ पॉजिटिव वन. ओके, सो मेक श्योर दैट you write down these points on the paper so that it will be very helpful for you. And these are the very important interview tips. So let's move further. Let's see the next important part of time management, that is procrastination. And this term itself is something, it's a very strange term, like we don't use generally in our normal conversation. Normally आप ये term बहुत कम use करते हो, लेकिन बहुत ही powerful word है. Procrastination. इसे ट्रांसलेट करें तो हिंदी में इसे विलंब भी कहते हैं लोग. विलंब. प्रोक्रास्टिनेशन जानना क्यों ज़रूरी है? क्योंकि when you're doing many tasks, you tend to lose interest and you start postponing the task. You start pushing the task forward, and that will result in less productivity. The procrastinations. What is this procrastination? Procrastination is delaying the task to the end. There are many reasons for this. बहुत सारे reasons है procrastinations के लिए. लेकिन the meaning of that procrastination is आप task को आगे push करते हो. जब कभी आप task को नहीं करते हो, ये सोच के कि अच्छा मैं कल करूँगा या परसों करूँगा, ये जो thinking है इसे प्रोक्रास्टिनेशन कहते हैं. और ये बहुत कॉमन है. व्हेनेवर वी आर वर्क इन स्कूल, इन कॉलेज, आपको जब असाइनमेंट्स दिया जाता है और जब टीचर ऐसे कहता है कि आप ये असाइनमेंट 1 महीने के बाद सबमिट कर सकते हो, तब आपके मन में ये रहेगा कि अच्छा 1 महीना है तो और भी बहुत सारा टाइम है, ठीक है मैं कल स्टार्ट करूँगा. 1 महीना है ना, तो आप एक वीक के बाद, 1 हफ्ते के बाद आप यही सोचोगे कि और भी 1 महीना है, क्योंकि जो वो सेंटेंस टीचर ने बोला है कि 1 महीने के बाद आप सबमिट कर सकते हो, वो आपके मन में रहेगा. इसी वजह से आप से प्रोक्रास्टिनेट करते जाएंगे, आप पुश करते जाएंगे, और बाद में जब 1 हफ्ता रहेगा तब आप सोचने लगेंगे मैं स्टार्टिंग में स्टार्ट किया होता तो आज कंप्लीट होता. तो ये जो बहुत ही कॉमन फीलिंग है, आप एग्ज़ाम के टाइम में भी देख सकते हो. जब कभी भी आपका जो सेमेस्टर शुरू होता है, तब आपके मन में रहता है अच्छा ये इस सेमेस्टर मुझे पक्का हर दिन पढ़ना है, हर दिन नोट्स लिखना है, ताकि जब एग्ज़ाम आए तो मैं आसानी से लिख सकूं. एग्ज़ाम के 1 दिन पहले इतना पढ़ना नहीं, आई विल नॉट गेट टू study much 1 day before the exam, so I will start today on the first day. लेकिन क्या होता है, तो आपको जब एग्ज़ाम 1-2 महीने के बाद होता है तो आप अच्छा 2 महीने हैं, मैं कल शुरू करूँगा, मैं परसों शुरू करूँगा या नेक्स्ट अगले हफ्ते शुरू करूँगा, तो ये आपके मन में रहेगा. और आपका जो स्टडी है वो आप पुश करते जाएंगे. फिर बाद में जब एग्ज़ाम के वक्त आता है 1 हफ्ते पहले, तब आपको रियलाइज़ होगा मैंने नोट्स नहीं लिखा है, मैंने ये ठीक से पढ़ाई नहीं किया है। तो तब आप पढ़ाई करने के लिए शुरू करेंगे, आप दूसरों से हेल्प मांगेंगे। तो ये तो कॉमन है ना। इफ़ यू आर नॉट डूइंग दैट, इट्स रियली गुड। आप ये नहीं कर प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट नहीं कर रहे तो आप बहुत ही सही ट्रैक पे जा रहे हैं। तो ये जो प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन है वो बहुत कॉमन है, लेकिन हमें जानना ज़रूरी है कि आप कहाँ पे प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट कर रहे हो, किस चीज़ पे प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट कर रहे हो, ताकि वो आप रिपीट ना करें। तो आपको ये जानना ज़रूरी है कि आपका जो प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन है वो आप किस एरिया में आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन कर रहे हो। वो उस पढ़ाई में हो या कुछ इम्पॉर्टेंट टास्क में हो, असाइनमेंट्स में हो। So that is procrastination. So I hope you all understood the meaning of procrastination. काम को थोड़ा देर तक पुश करना या उसे विलंब करना, इसे कहते हैं procrastination. And it's a very important part of time management. So let's see more about this. Now I want you to write down in your paper what are the things that you generally procrastinate. So I want at least 2 things that you write in your paper. The 2 things that you usually procrastinate. Anything. कौन से जो वर्क है जो जनरली आप पुश करते हो, मतलब बाद में करने के लिए, वो कौन सा 2 काम है जो आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करते हो। प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन या प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट का मतलब है विलंब। Yes. So I'm sure that you would have written 2 things that you generally procrastinate. Think about it. What if you would have not procrastinated it? What if you would have done it on time? Think about the results that you would have got. It would be really effective. It would be really surprising event, or it would be something like that would make you happy, isn't it? So procrastination is something that will definitely delay, and it might cause you tension also at the end of the day. So that is why, remember this, we should not procrastinate the work. And it's very common, it comes in all the time. But you need to realize, you need to self-assess that am I procrastinating? क्या मैं procrastinate कर रहा हूँ या कर रही हूँ? ऐसे आपको think करना है, ताकि आप work on time करें और आपका अच्छे results आए. Let's see some of the things, that is the elements of procrastination approach. इसका मतलब हम देखते हैं कि आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन को कैसे कम करें, कौन सी अप्रोच ले. Okay, so let's see some of the points of that. Emotional time travel. Remember this, emotional time travel. What is this emotional time travel? And this is like something related to your mood. So if you are always like fighting against the feeling of having to work, like, or I have to complete the work, you are mentally, if you're thinking something like that, then definitely you will not procrastinate your work. आप विलंब नहीं करोगे अपने वर्क कंप्लीट करने में. तो आप इमोशनली स्ट्रांग बनना है, आपको ये थिंक करना कि मुझे ये कंप्लीट करना ही है. So that kind of emotional thing will help you. Now what is this emotional time travel? I'll tell you that, okay, about the concept is. Now, I request everyone to think about your goal. I think yesterday we discussed about the goals, right? Just think about that SMART goal that you have in your mind. Now, for a moment, think about that. Think that you have completed that goal. Think that it's done. Your goal is done, and everything is done. You have worked very, very hard, and your goal is completed. Think about that. Now think about the happiness that you get, the happiness in your face, the happiness with the people around you. आप वो खुशी को महसूस कीजिए. कैसे रहेगा वो क्षण, कैसे रहेगा वो मोमेंट जब मैं मेरे गोल को कंप्लीट किया. तो वो खुशी को जब आप सोचते हो, तब आपके ऊपर आपको एक पॉजिटिव एनर्जी आ जाएगा और आप काम को प्रोक्रास्टिनेट करने से आप प्रोक्रास्टिनेट नहीं करोगे और आपके काम को स्टार्ट करोगे। तो इसलिए इमोशनली आपको टाइम ट्रैवल करना है। एक काम करने से शुरू करने से पहले 1 मिनट आप आराम से बैठिए और क्लोज योर आइज और वो मोमेंट के बारे में सोचिए। जब आप ये गोल कंप्लीट करोगे तब आपको कितना खुश मिलेगा, कितना हैप्पी मिलेगा आपके सराउंडिंग में, उसके बारे में सोचिए। तो डेफिनेटली यू विल गेट एन एनर्जी दैट विल मेक यू टू वर्क very hard and you will avoid procrastinating. Now most of them would think like, suppose if we imagine like that, suppose if we imagine the happiness that we get after that, what if we are not able to do it? Then we will feel disheartened, it will break our heart. Suppose you would have thought of, I would get a job in some top company. Suppose if you think about that, see the happiness that you imagine, the happiness that you get after getting placed there. Suppose if you're not able to get placed, then what will happen? Then I'll feel disheartened. आप ऐसे सोचते होंगे ये होगा। एक्चुअली आपको ये जानना ज़रूरी है, अगर आप उस दिशा में जा रहे हैं, अगर आप उसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं, अगर वो कंपनी नहीं तो कुछ और कंपनी ज़रूर आपको मिलेगा, क्योंकि आप उसके पाथ में ऑन द वे टू अचीव दैट गोल आप बहुत काम किए होंगे और वो काम दैट हार्ड वर्क आपको अगर ये कंपनी नहीं तो दूसरे कंपनी में ज़रूर काम मिला होगा। सो दैट इज़ वॉट इट इज़। इट्स नॉट अबाउट गेटिंग अबाउट दैट कंपनी, यू शुड हैव अ गोल, ओके, बट don't think that what if I don't get that thing. You should get, at any cost you should reach that goal, but don't worry about what if I don't get that. Once you start worrying, it will be a problem, because you should know that if I aim for that, definitely I'll get it. If due to some instance if I don't get, definitely I'll get some other good company or maybe some other company near to that. वो ज़रूर ऐसा ही होगा, क्योंकि आप हर एक टाइम उसके बारे में सोचते सोचते आप बहुत सारे काम कर रहे होंगे। वो ज़्यादा भी हो सकता है आपके रेगुलर काम से, इससे आपको बहुत बहुत प्रॉफिट मिलेगा। तो इसलिए इमोशनली टाइम ट्रैवल करना आपको बहुत ज़रूरी है, ताकि आप बहुत काम कर सके। एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी, दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। आप प्रोडक्टिव काम करते जाएंगे, आप हर वक्त यही सोचते रहेंगे, अच्छा मेरा गोल ये है तो मैं यही करना चाहता हूँ और यही करूँगा, तो इसके वजह से आपका प्रोडक्टिविटी भी ज़्यादा होगा। सो इमोशनल टाइम ट्रैवल बहुत ज़रूरी है। जस्ट गेटिंग स्टार्टेड, इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग। सी हमेशा के लिए अगर आपको अपने गोल रीच करना है, अगर आप कुछ टास्क कंप्लीट करना है, तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आपको स्टार्ट करना है। आई थिंक एवरी वन वुड हैव एक्सपीरियंस दिस। वेन एवर यू आर स्टडिंग फॉर सम एग्ज़ाम, वो स्टार्टिंग जो है वो बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर आप स्टार्ट करोगे तो कुछ ना कुछ आप सीख के कंप्लीट करोगे। सो ज़्यादातर यही प्रॉब्लम होता है कि हम स्टार्ट ही नहीं करते। अगर एग्ज़ाम दो महीने बाद है, तो अगर हम आज स्टार्ट करें तो हमको पता चलेगा अच्छा कल क्या करना है, अगले हफ्ते क्या पढ़ना है, उसके बाद में क्या पढ़ना है। ये प्रॉब्लम है कि यही है कि हम स्टार्ट ही नहीं करते। हम स्टार्ट तब करते हैं जब एग्ज़ाम पास आता है, मे बी लाइक एक हफ्ते पहले, तो या एक दिन पहले भी हो सकता है। तो इसलिए स्टार्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, ताकि आप प्रोक्रास्टिनेट नहीं करें और आप रिजल्ट और आपका वर्क कंप्लीट हो। तो इसलिए स्टार्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। थिंक अबाउट द टास्क। आई वॉन्ट एवरी वन टू थिंक अबाउट द टास्क दैट यू वॉन्ट टू कंप्लीट नाउ। आई एम श्योर दैट एवरी वन हैव दिस प्लान ऑफ आई वॉन्ट टू गेट अ जॉब. To more precisely, if you apply SMART goal, maybe I want to get placed in Microsoft year 2021, so that I can get a offer letter from them. So अगर ये गोल है आपके मन में, तो आज स्टार्ट कीजिए। क्या करना है उसके लिए रिसर्च कीजिए, क्या सॉफ्टवेयर सीखना है मुझे इसके लिए। तो ये सब आपको डिसाइड करना है आपसे, और उसके ऊपर स्टार्ट भी करना है। आज ही स्टार्ट करना है, नहीं तो वो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा। और 2 साल 3 साल बाद आप ये सोचेंगे कि मैं शायद ये स्टार्ट किया था तो अच्छा होता। तो दैट इज़ वाई यू नीड टू स्टार्ट टुडे। नेक्स्ट इज एड्रेसिंग अनहेल्पफुल थॉट्स. So as I already said, this is something related to the emotional time travel. Whenever you are thinking about the your goal and all that thing, you will be getting some thoughts that that you might do it, you may not do it, you may not do it. So what you have to do is you have to address that thought and think about it like, no, that is not the case. I will achieve my goal. So you need to address that thought and then think about it. No, this is not gonna happen. Suppose anything like something is standing in your mind, you'll not be able to do now because आपको समय नहीं है, आप नहीं कर पाओ, ऐसे कुछ thoughts आ जाए तो आपको think करना है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, मैं ज़रूर करूँगा. तो it's like addressing the unhelpful thoughts. And the next thing is doing easy things first. There's a reason for this. इसके लिए reason भी है. अगर आपको कुछ टास्क कंप्लीट करना है, 2-3 टास्क है, और आपको ये एक टास्क से बहुत डर होगा, मतलब एक टास्क होगा बहुत मुश्किल उस 3 टास्क में, तो आपको क्या करना है फर्स्ट, क्योंकि स्टार्टिंग करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, आपको फर्स्ट आसान काम सेलेक्ट करना है, उसे कंप्लीट करना है. जब आप एक आसान काम को कंप्लीट करते हो तब आपको एक एनर्जी मिलेगा कि अच्छा ये मैंने कैसे भी करके कंप्लीट किया, अभी ये एक ही बचा हुआ है या 2 ही बचा हुआ है, इसे भी कंप्लीट कर लूँगा. तो ये जो इजी टास्क फर्स्ट कंप्लीट करने से आपको एक स्टार्ट मिलेगा, और इसके वजह से आप जो बचा हुआ टास्क है वो अगर वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो तब भी आप स्टार्ट करके कंप्लीट करोगे. तो इसलिए जो आसान काम है वो स्टार्ट, ये कब करना है, तब आपको लगेगा कि अच्छा ये टास्क बहुत मुश्किल है, तब इसे करना है, नहीं तो आपको जस्ट स्टार्ट करना है. दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो अगर मैं एक ही टास्क लूँ, अगर एक टास्क को कंप्लीट करना है तो बेस्ट वे ऐसा होगा कि वो टास्क को आप डिवाइड कीजिए, 5 डिविजन्स या 3 डिविजन्स ऐसे डिवाइड कीजिए, और उसके बाद में उस डिवीजन में आप ढूंढिए कि कौन सा आसान है जो मैं अभी कंप्लीट कर सकता हूँ. तो वो टास्क फर्स्ट कंप्लीट कीजिए, फिर उसके बाद में दूसरे टास्क को शिफ्ट हो जाए. तो जब आप एक टास्क कंप्लीट करते हो तब आपको एक बहुत सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलेगा कि आपने अभी स्टार्ट किया है, एक कंप्लीट भी हो चुका है, तो अगला जो बचा हुआ है वो भी कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. तो ये जो डिवीजन है, टास्क का डिवीजन, ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. और जो भी टास्क हो, देयर आर मेनी टास्क, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर कंप्लीटिंग द ईजी टास्क फर्स्ट, so that you will get an energy to complete the remaining one. There's one more reason for this, why you need to start with the easy thing first. The reason is that suppose if you are doing something which is very difficult, there are chances that you might feel a little bit disheartened when you are not getting the desired output. So that is the reason, if you are able to do this easy thing, it will be like a stepping stone. You are stepping one by one, you are climbing up the stairs. So it's very important to do the easy things first. It's a kind of a motivator, you can say. So remember these 4 points. Emotional time travel, very important, so that you feel your success and work hard towards it. And get started with whatever the work is. Of course, start करना है. And addressing unhelpful thoughts, वो भी बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि ताकि आप ताकि आप डिसहार्टन ना हो बीच में. तो इसलिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट आप एड्रेस unhelpful thoughts को एड्रेस करें. Doing easy things first, that is also important, so that you get motivated to do the remaining task also. Okay, yes, let's move on to the next one. Let's see what are the reasons that we generally procrastinate. I think I'm sure like everyone have their own reasons to procrastinate. Let's see some of the reasons that people use to procrastinate. Let's see some of the reasons for procrastination. One of the main reasons that we procrastinate is because we find that the task is not that interesting. ये बहुत कॉमन रीज़न है. अगर टास्क इंटरेस्टिंग ना हो तो आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करोगे. तो इसके लिए क्या ज़रूरी है, आपको इमोशनल टाइम ट्रैवल करना है ताकि आपको वो इंटरेस्ट लगे. वन ऑफ द रीज़न इज़ आपको पता नहीं हो क्या करना. यू डोंट नो हाउ टू डू द टास्क एंड यू स्टार्ट अवॉइडिंग इट. आपको स्टार्ट कैसे करना ये पता नहीं है, इसलिए आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करोगे. तो द सोल्यूशन वुड बी, आपको सोचना, यू हैव टू थिंक लाइक व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स टू रीच दैट गोल. उसके बाद में एक एक करके आपको कंप्लीट करना है. जो मोस्ट वन ऑफ द कॉमन रीज़न क्यों लोग प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करते हैं, क्योंकि उनको पता नहीं कैसे स्टार्ट करना है. तो ये रीज़न होता है प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन का. And one more thing is that people procrastinate because they are not sure that whether they will be able to do it or not. अब उनको विश्वास ही नहीं होगा, अच्छा मैं कर पाऊंगा या नहीं कर पाऊंगा. ऐसा जो कंफ्यूजिंग स्टेट होता है, इसके वजह से भी लोग प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करता है. और ज़्यादातर लोग ये भी होता है कि आप यू वुड नॉट वांट टू स्ट्रगल. आपको ये मन में रहेगा, चाहिए मैं अब ये स्टार्ट करूँगा तो मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा, हर दिन काम करना पड़ेगा, सुबह से शाम तक पढ़ना पड़ेगा. ऐसा जब थॉट्स आ जाए तो ज़्यादातर आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करोगे, क्योंकि आपको वो ऐसा करना अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. मे बी आप ऐसे सोचेंगे अच्छा लास्ट दिन कर लूँगा, अभी से क्यों इतना तकलीफ़ लेना है. तो ये रीज़न होता है कि आप प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करोगे, विलम्ब करोगे अपने काम को, और आगे बढ़ते जाएगा और काम भी बढ़ता जाएगा, और लास्ट डे बहुत काम रहेगा आपको. तो इसलिए इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड द रीज़न दैट वाई क्यों आप क्यों हम प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करते हैं, और इसके बाद में उसे अप्रोच करना है. ओके, नाउ let's see the ways to stop procrastinating, and this is a very important one also. So before I get into it, I request everyone to mark your attendance in the Kaizala group. So let's take a short break of 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, and I'll be back after 5 minutes. And please mark your attendance in the Kaizala group. आप अपने अटेंडेंस को काइज़ाला ग्रुप में मार्क कीजिए, और हम लेते हैं 5 मिनट का ब्रेक. विल टेक शॉर्ट ब्रेक ऑफ 5 मिनट्स. सी यू सून. So welcome back. Yes, so we were discussing about the ways to, what are the different ways not to stop procrastinating. Yes. So let's see the first one, that is break your work into little steps. It's very important to have subtasks. So suppose if you have a very important task, write it down and divide it into at least 5 or 6 parts, and after that try working on one task and complete it and go to the next task. So this is one of the way to stop procrastinating, that is break your work into little steps. Next is change your environment. So it's important to see whether there is some distraction. Suppose if you're not able to work because of the workplace, because of many people around, you need to make sure that you are in an environment that is free from disturbance, where you don't get demotivated. So that is why it's important to change your environment. Next, create a detailed timeline. So it's important to have a certain deadlines also. आपको deadline set करना है और एक flow बनाना है ताकि आपको पता चले कि कौन से काम कब complete करना है. So once you divide the task into many subtasks, keep deadlines for each and every task so that you will complete it and you'll be able to complete everything on time. Eliminate your procrastination pit stops. So you need to identify what are the elements, where do I generally procrastinate. As we discussed in the reasons to procrastinate, you need to identify your own area where you procrastinate. So that if you understand, you need to start eliminating those things. Get a friend. ये क्या है get a friend? Suppose if you want to complete a task and avoid procrastinating it, ask help of your friend. Ask him to motivate you. Ask him to remind you of your goal. So when you get reminded by people, you start working towards it and you reduce your procrastination. You don't procrastinate it. Tell others about your goal. So when you tell about your goal to others, you will be having in your mind that since I have told it to so many people, definitely they will be looking to you, they'll be seeing your progress. So that will be there in your mind. अगर आप गोल को किसी से कहते हो तो आपके मन में ये रहेगा कि अच्छा सभी को पता है मेरे गोल के बारे में, तो मुझे कैसे भी करके ये कंप्लीट करना है और इसके लिए मुझे आज शुरू करना है. So you don't procrastinate when others around you know about your goal. Re-clarify your goal. Whenever you are working towards a goal, if you feel that there's something change in the goal, there's some small change that I need to make in the goal, because of that I'm not able to work on time, then you need to check on that also. You need to re-clarify your goal. Stop overcomplicating things. Sometimes we think too much about our goal and we start thinking about things that will not happen. So this will complicate your situation. Most common would be, what if I don't complete the task? What if I don't reach the goal? So these things will definitely complicate, and there are very less chance that you would be working towards it and you start procrastinating the work. Okay, rule. So it is nothing but take up a task and just give 2 minutes to start the task. That is like if I have a task for almost like completing an assignment, like tomorrow is the day I have to complete an assignment. Now you start dividing the task into different groups, like I'll complete 2 pages and then next 2 pages in the next 2 hours. So now give 2 minutes to start the task and see how much you can complete in that 2 minutes. So when you complete this much thing in 2 minutes, you'll get a kind of a feeling that definitely I'll be able to complete the entire task if I give time for each and everything. So this is a motivating factor, and I'm sure that this 2-minute rule will motivate you to do more and more work. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of it, and that is working under pressure and adhering to deadlines. I'm sure that everyone would be having deadlines in most of their work. Let's take an example of your assignments, college assignments. In college, when you get an assignment, the teacher or your facilitator or faculty will definitely say a time or a date. Within this date, you have to submit your assignment. If at all that deadline was not given, अगर वो deadline नहीं देते, तो आपका जो काम है आप नहीं शुरू करोगे, आप आज नहीं शुरू करोगे, आप you start procrastinating it, you push it for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and it goes on. So deadline is something that's very important to manage the time, and also it will reduce the pressure if you start working each and every day. What are the benefits? What are the benefits of deadline? Let's see some of them. One of the benefit would be it will stop you from procrastinating, and it will help you to be more productive. That is one of the main benefit of deadlines. It will improve your focus. अगर आप deadlines set करते हो मन में, तो आपका focus बढ़ जाएगा. It will improve your focus. And if you set a deadline for your task, then it will be easy for you to assess it also. It will be easy for you to have an assess of like how much have you completed. So that is one of the advantage of deadline. You will come out of the comfort zone and you will start working more. And this will help you to reduce fear also. You'll get used to this concept of deadline and you'll come out of the box and you will work harder. So these are the different benefits that you have if you have deadlines. Let's see the tips to meet the deadlines. What are the tips that we have to meet the deadlines? Start now. As we already discussed, start now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. आपको आज ही start करना है. आपके goal के ऊपर काम करना है. You have to work towards your goal, and for that you have to start today and start now. Sleep. The reason why I mentioned sleep is that only if you have a healthy sleep, you can concentrate better. So it's very important to get good sleep at night so that you concentrate on your work and you don't procrastinate. You don't feel lazy. If you don't have sleep, next day we start procrastinating, we become lazy, we become lethargic. So इसलिए sleep is very important. Next one. Work. So work, or if we say like you have to start seeing what are the different work that I have to do. So you have to work on that, work on your task, because without working, definitely you'll not be able to meet your target. Only setting up a schedule, only setting up a deadline will not work. You need to work towards it also. Add a buffer. It's very important to add an extra time, just because suppose if you're not able to complete the task on time, then you need to, if you're adding a buffer of 1 hour, that will help you to reduce the stress and you will be able to complete the task on time. So add a buffer. Don't add work. When you're concentrating on one task to reach your goal, don't add extra work in between. If you do that, reaching your deadline becomes very difficult. So make sure that you are not adding extra work. Next one is prioritize. As I already told yesterday, you need to prioritize which task to be done first and which to do next. So you need to know, but you can use different methods. We saw some bubble sort technique, assigning numbers, Moscow technique. So all these techniques you can use and prioritize your tasks so that you reach the deadline. Do whatever it takes. It's like a kind of a positive saying that whatever happens, I will do it. So do whatever it takes, whatever comes on my way, I will do it. If you have that kind of confidence, and I'm sure that you'll be able to meet your deadlines. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, and that is the Covey's grid. As you can see on the screen, there's something like urgent and not urgent on the x-axis, important and not important on the y-axis. So why this grid is important? This is important to understand the priority, what tasks to be done now and what can be postponed. And also it will help you to have a clear picture of the different tasks that you have in front of you and which you can complete one by one. Okay, so let's see. There's a small task for everyone. I request everyone to draw this grid in the paper. आप ये जो grid जो screen के ऊपर दिखाए गए grid को अपने paper पे draw कीजिए. And I want you to write all the elements, that is urgent, not urgent, important and not important. Okay, so now let's see what to fill in each one of the quadrant. So I'm sure that everyone would have written in your paper this column where the first one is, first quadrant is nothing but urgent and important. So all the tasks that is very, very important and which is very urgent should be written in the first quadrant. Now what are the things that comes here? Here it is the projects that which have deadlines. The one that has to be completed very soon. For example, submitting an assignment tomorrow or attending an exam tomorrow. So all that thing which is very important should come in the first, especially the one with the deadlines. So deadline driven projects will be there in the first quadrant. Yes. So I want you to write down what is that project that which has a deadline coming up soon, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So I want you to write it down in the first quadrant, in the first square. Which is a project that I have to do tomorrow. So write it down in the first quadrant. Or maybe the day after tomorrow. So this is a quadrant or the space where you'll mention the task that is very, very urgent to be completed and also which is very important. Okay. Now, let's go to the next quadrant, that is important but not that urgent. Some of the examples for this important and not urgent column would be something which is like a long-term goal. Long-term planning. It's important, but it's not urgent. Something like finding a new opportunity. It could be something like recreation also. So I'll mention long-term goals recreation. When I mention recreation, it is something like which is an important aspect. It's recreation is something where you want some rest, some refreshment. It's very important, but it's not that urgent. So the recreation will relax your mind. So it's an important part that we all need to follow, but it is not that urgent. Long-term goals. So it's very important. You need to keep in mind each and every time, but it is not urgent. It is not coming up tomorrow, right? So these are the different factors that comes under not urgent and important. I request you guys to write down what are the things that you have in your mind, like related to recreation, some kind of relaxational activities that you generally want to do. Maybe going on a long trip, or meeting the friends. So all these things are important, but not that urgent. Now coming to the next quadrant, that is urgent, not important. So here, one of the important thing that you need to remember is the interruptions, but which are on time. For example, WhatsApp message. Generally, when you get an WhatsApp message, the other person would have sent you with an emergency, but it may not be important for you. So something in some interruptions when you're working on all comes under urgent but not important. Interruptions. So here also we can include something like emails, calls, and meetings, which may not be that important for you, but it might be urgent. Now let's go to the next quadrant, that is not urgent and not important. And this quadrant includes activities which are mainly time wasters. The activities that waste a lot of time. Maybe like watching YouTube videos, watching TikTok videos at night. So all these things comes under not important and not urgent. So I want you to fill this column with what are the activities that is not important and not urgent, especially related to entertainment, which you feel like it's a waste of time. All those things you can mention it as not important, not urgent. Okay, so now let's see once again what are the different quadrants. The first quadrant, which is urgent and important. The one which has a very urgent deadline, like tomorrow, submitting tomorrow, कल submit करना है, परसों submit करना है. तो जो projects जिसके deadlines पास में हैं, वो आपको पहले ख़त्म करना चाहिए, इसलिए वो आता है urgent और important quadrant के ऊपर. So that you need to concentrate first. अगर आपका जो task है वो इतना urgent नहीं है लेकिन important है, जैसे कि relaxation, recreation, and something like hanging out with the friends, going for a long trip. These are important in life, but they are not urgent. They could be postponed. They could be pushed over. And long-term goals also. When you have suppose if you have a task which is related to long-term goal, you may do it tomorrow also. So that we need to concentrate first on the quadrant 1. Coming to the next quadrant, that is urgent and not important. These are the interruptions that you get, especially WhatsApp messages or some emails which are like urgent emails, but they're not important for you. Not urgent, not important. This is a space where most of them spend more time. इस quadrant not urgent, not important, इस quadrant में हम ज़्यादा time spend करते हैं, जैसे कि movies देखना, or videos देखना, for example like TikTok videos. So this is the area where we should concentrate less because they are not that important and not urgent also. It could be done tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So this Covey's grid, this grid is called as Covey's grid, and this is important because this will help us to realize which quadrant we need to work on, which task we need to work on, and that is nothing but the first quadrant, which is urgent and important. So dividing your task in these 4 quadrants is very important to prioritize and start working on the one which is required now. So I request you all to write down more and more points in each quadrant so that it will be very easy to analyze your task, and also it will help you not to procrastinate also, and it will help you to reach your deadlines. So this is called as Covey's grid, and it's a very important grid for us to self-analyze and understand where you need to spend more time, where you need to spend less time, so that we all can be productive and work more and have good results. So when you join an organization, this is an analysis that you need to make so that the different tasks that you get can be divided into different quadrants, and you can start working on each and every task, but giving more priority to the one which is urgent and which is important. Okay, so let's revise what are the things that we learned today. First, we learned about the effects of multitasking. Multitasking might result in error, so it's very important not to multitask. After that, we learned about procrastination. What are the problems that we get because of procrastination? And then we learned about deadlines, why deadlines are important, and why we need to meet the deadlines, and what are the different ways of meeting the deadlines. And then we saw about the Covey's grid, which will help you to understand which task to complete first, and also it will help in managing the time. So I hope you all learned in this session the time management skills, and let's meet with one more topic tomorrow at the same time. So thank you all for participating, and have a good day.